A brother to IEBC Commissioner Rose Akombe has fled the country. He has fled the country with his entire family, his wife and children. Now this has surprised most Kenyans, but actually it should not. Okay? Let's for a minute back up a little. You'll remember that barely a week after the August 8th polls, Dr. Rose Akombe herself was trying to leave the country, and she went to the JKI airport. She cleared customs, she cleared immigration, and was actually on a plane heading out of the country. When the plane was delayed, officials, let me just call them government officials, but we all know they're dark forces, yeah? Dark forces boarded the plane, removed Dr. Akombe from the plane, removed her luggage from the plane, and detained her at the airport for very many hours. In fact, the people who came to Dr. Akombe's rescue were officials from the American embassy in Nairobi. Okay, Dr. Akombe, of course, holds dual citizenship. One of the beautiful things that came out of our 2010 constitution is that as a Kenyan, you're allowed to be a national of two countries. Okay, so Dr. Akombe is both an American and a Kenyan. Okay, so her American side came to the rescue, and finally she was allowed on the plane. But there's another story here, and you know, it should be very obvious to all Kenyans. There is no way the dark forces would have allowed Dr. Akombe on the plane without some assurances. Yeah, because what's the reason why they stopped her in the first place? And also remember, very important, this was before the historic Supreme Court judgment that annulled the August 8th elections. Yeah, presidential elections. Well, now pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, sorry, I'm really shrubbing today, my apologies. Pieces of the jigsaw puzzle are beginning now to fall into place. Okay, now after that incident of you know, barely a week after the elections, somebody asked me, you know, they were a bit confused about this whole issue, and they asked me, you know, I don't understand, if they detained her, why did they allow her to go out of the country? And you know what my response to her was? I told her, you don't watch enough mafia movies. Not even mafia movies. They should just watch 24. You know, Jack Bauer. That series that has taken Kenyans by storm. Anyway, I told them that normally, in this dirty game of blackmail, one of the most effective ways is not to threaten somebody's life. It is to threaten the life of those close to them, those that actually they care very much for. Yeah, e.g. a favorite son. I'll not mention wife, because a relationship between wife and husband is complicated. You know, there are many people who, if their wives' lives are threatened, it will not move them. In fact, they'll say, they'll wish. Or vice versa. If it's a wife and husband is threatened, they could say something like, ah, iyo nyangao, deal na mi sina shida. Anyway, so when this person was asking me why Dr. Akombe was released, saw in the news that actually her brother had fled the country, they came to me and they said, Kumekucha, once again you're right. Well, really, to me it was, and to anybody, it should be rather obvious. Okay, so clearly, if we can backtrack, the deal must have been Dr. Akombe was allowed to leave the country, and she was probably told something like, you know, your brother is still in the country, eh? Yeah, you'd better know what you're doing when you're going out, yeah? Yeah, that's really what happened. So with this latest development, I would be surprised if Dr. Akombe can leave the country now. I would be extremely surprised. I think you get my drift. Okay? Because there's no more leverage. Very sad. I also want to draw your attention to the way her brother left the country, okay? Her brother and the family left the country through Namanga border. Again, that has surprised me a little, and I'll tell you why. Kenya has a system, a computerized system which is online, and the same system at the JKIA is the same system at all border points, yeah? It's computerized. You know, when you want to leave the country, how you go, they take your fingerprints, they snap your photographs and your photograph and so on and so forth, yeah? That system is operational at all border points, okay? And what would happen is that if you're a person of interest who should not leave the country, it just takes a phone call, yeah, because there's security personnel at all borders, yeah, and they hold you. So my wild guess is that Dr. Akombe and her brother knew exactly what they were doing, and they've somehow found a way of leaving Kenya without being fingerprinted. That is my theory. Anyway, the long and short of it is that it would be easier to avoid that procedure at one of the borders going outside of the country rather than at the airport. Yeah, you know, airport always has very tight security. It is unlikely that you'd be able to miss those particular issues. Yeah, and indeed, this would explain, if we can go back to Dr. Akombe's incident a week after the election. You know, she actually got onto the plane. She boarded the plane, and you know, the plane was about to take off before the dark forces came in. So my theory is that when she went through immigration, the fact that she was leaving the country, that information, of course naturally, because the computers are online, it created an alert, yeah, at the offices of the dark forces, yeah, and within, you know, it took them some time to get the act together. Maybe they were caught completely by surprise, especially because she may not have used a Kenyan passport to get out of the country. Yeah, you get my drift. Yes, but finally they realized what was happening, and pop, she was gotten off the plane. Now, I see I've run out of my time, but in part 2 we're going to deal with why are these IEBC people threatened? Yeah, let's go into the deeper details of that. Why are they being threatened? Why was Dr. Akombe refused to leave the country even before the Supreme Court ruled? Yeah, we'll look into that. These are important questions we need to look at, yeah, so that we all understand what's happening. You know the usual drill. Just look out for the link on your top left hand corner of the screen. Click on it, and you should be on part 2 of this recording. This is Chris Kumekucha. See you there in a bit.